So there are three branches of philosophy: epistemology, axiology, and ontology, and those refer to the study of knowledge, the study of values, and the study of being. I recently had in a video someone post a comment and suggest that epistemology is prior to ontology, and they were correcting me, suggesting that, I really needed to understand that it's only through our knowledge of things and through our ability to understand things that we could get clear in philosophical discussions begin with epistemology and then they move on to being. I don't think that that's really true. And I wanted to suggest some things here to help clarify this issue, and I really hope that people would take a moment to think about this. For whatever it's worth, they're digressive, but the entries in Wikipedia on those different terms are actually quite useful, and I would say if people want to begin there, if you've never heard of those terms, if you're not familiar with them, please go check them out. The claim that the person made, again, is that epistemology sort of logically precedes ontology, or the argument is sort of that, look, you have to begin with epistemology. I think that's what the person was trying to suggest. I would say no. My claim is that it is only those people who are trained in analytic philosophy who would maybe come to that conclusion. I don't think that would even be the case for most people who are well trained. I think this is a person who, from my guess, is a sort of beginner in philosophy, and that's okay. I think the thing is to say, could it be the case that ontology precedes epistemology? And I don't mean it as a knowledge claim. I'm not suggesting here I assert as a fact that ontology precedes epistemology. No, what I'm suggesting is a poetic statement that helps us wake up and realize that we are before we know that we are. There is much in our being, things like experiences, the general fact of existence, much that we feel that is already there by the time we come to make knowledge claims about it. Now, there are always knowledge claims and there are values, and I don't think we really even want to separate off epistemology, axiology, and ontology. But from my perspective, if you're going to have to put one as prior, I would begin with ontology and suggest that we are, and then the ontology is mostly closely on the heels of it, sort of like ontology and axiology are the closest aligned. Epistemology comes later. It's what you have to get the ontology right, or all the epistemology in the world isn't going to help you. Now, someone might say, oh, no, you have to get the epistemology right. But there, you're forcing it as if everything is going to have to be subject to the kinds of truth conditions that are available within epistemology, and I don't think that's what you're going to find. So, for example, if I say, just take this as an example, if I say round squares taste best to the hungry in a cold, cold morning, now, to the person who's able to understand that, that's a truth about humanity that's not subject to epistemological claims. It's not a logical statement. It's a disclosure for those who are able to understand it about something, about what it means to be human, and the struggle with impossible things, and how Emerson has a line where he says, morning knowledge is knowledge of God, evening knowledge is knowledge of man. Now, does he mean this literally? I think to ask, what are the warrants for this claim, and how is this logically true or not? You're going to miss so much of what not only he was saying, but the facts of human life in the way they're experienced. There is much to be had in those who study epistemology, and I'm very glad that we have competent people who are teaching epistemology. But people who think that everything that has any kind of proper beginning has to begin with knowledge, I think it's really missing what human experience is. There's much human experience that surpasses and beyond knowledge. It's just that you can't make knowledge claims about that. It becomes very paradoxical, but I think we know what we're talking about. It's a different kind of knowing. there are poetic forms of knowing, there are forms of knowing that are wisdom that aren't exactly logically and epistemologically sound. At any rate, I hope that added to some of this discussion for clarification on epistemology, axiology, and ontology. Thanks.